All right, coming in at number 43 on the Locked On Senators 2024 draft rankings, it's Maxim Massé out of Chicoutimi in the QMJHL. He's a 6'2", 186-pound right winger that provides offense and, well, wasn't getting a whole lot of help with his teammates this season.
Yeah, Massé did a lot of the heavy lifting as far as points are concerned with his team. He led his team in points, 75 points in 67 games. Nice, pretty even split here, Ross. 36 goals, 39 points. Now, I would describe him as a goal scorer that can make the right pass. I know with Gridden, we called him a dual threat pass and shot. I would more say that Massé is a guy that if he's got the time and space to rip it, he's going to do that. But if he sees an opportunity to pass, he can make the right play too. So there's great qualities of an offensive player right there. He's an assistant captain. He had 6 points in 8 playoff games. He had 5 points in 7 U18 games. And Ross, I know I listed off last season's stats for Maxime Massé, but we got to talk about the rookie season this kid had. I mean, he was well touted before he got to the Q, as he was drafted 3rd overall in the 2022 QMJHL draft. And he showed up right away. He was the Q Rookie of the Year with 62 points in 65 games. So normally you see guys get to their junior league and it's a little bit of a rocky start. Usually they're playing bottom 6 minutes. They're not able to rack up the points and they're struggling up against much older kids that have hit puberty a little bit quicker than them, or at least are a couple of years ahead, where that age gap from 16, 17 to some of the older players is such a big difference in size and strength. So they struggle. Not Maxime Massé. He came into the queue and he was going right away. And maybe you're thinking, okay, you'd like a little bit more of a jump from year to year. He goes from 62 points to 75, but that's still showing enough consistent growth, in my opinion, that it doesn't really concern me.
Well, the thing is, right, I'm looking at preseason draft rankings and mock drafts that have him in like 15 to 20 range, whereas it just wasn't the same step up like we saw from Gridden, where he just exploded offensively. So it's that problem that scouts get where they've just seen the player for a number of years and it's like the same old, a bit like Shane Wright, where he came into the Kingston and then it's just like, okay, it's still a good prospect, but you want to see that year over year leap. Now he's an April birthday, about midway through the year of the hockey calendar, but I like the potential that he has there, but not in the first round. He's going to be a day 2 guy, an early day 2 guy for me, and he is that for Bob McKenzie as well. 35th on Bob's list, 36 with McKean's, 39 with Peters, 44 with Button, 57 with EP, and oh wow, Scott Wheeler has him as a first round talent, 27th on his list. He had 67 games with Chicoutimi, and he was a -4, but still put up 75 points. At the World Under-18s, he impressed, 5 points in 6 games there. Pilsy, send stars for Maxime Massé, because I'm really curious. I want to jump right ahead to that because I'm a little bit lower on him. I think there's a bit of a boom or bust situation going on here with Massé, and I would probably bet on another horse, but I can see the upside of him too. So I'm curious where you have him.
I've got him at 4 stars, Ross, here. I like a lot of the attributes that he has. Now, I don't think he's going to go in the second round. I've got my notes. I see him first round. I've got in my notes. I see him going early second round. Sens has decided to go with him at number 39. I wouldn't be that upset about it, because this is the guy that, from the highlights I saw, he drives his line. He plays a confident game. His teammates are constantly looking for him. And one thing, if you're going to be a goal scorer, you're not always going to get into soft ice and get those wristers from the top of the circle. This kid battles to get in front of the net, to be in those dirty areas. And if he's got a defenseman that's bigger than him, that's boxing him out, there might be guys that are stronger than him, but Maxime Massé is persistent, and he says, basically, you can cross-check me in the back all you want. The second that puck comes towards me, I'm going to get it before you, and I'm going to make you pay while you're working on being physical. I'll already have scored on you by the time you get your stick back on the ice or try to tie me up. So I like Maxime Massé a lot, and like I mentioned, at 39, I think that's the proper range for him.
And looking at our guy, Scott Wheeler, since he has him the highest at 27, he just calls him above average skill across the board, whether it's his natural and versatile shot, whether it's the completeness of his game that just stands out. He's going to penalty kill and be in the zone. He goes to dirties areas as well. Scott Wheeler really gets in depth in his write-up about why he believes Massé is a first-round talent. So just outside for me, I've got him around 50 on my board so far, right in that range of the Max Plants and the Adam Yekos of the world. So I'm curious to see, because he could also be a guy with that talent, hopefully, that's coming in Chicoutimi. Again, he led the team by 15 points this year and played one less game than the guy who is in second place. So I'd like to see him surrounded by a little more talent, and he could have 100 points next year in the queue. That wouldn't surprise me. But I just look at the NHL translatability, and there's just some other guys in this range that I see that one glowing attribute that just jumps out. Whereas for him, hey, it's good to be a complete player, especially at such a young age. But I think that scouts, and maybe here as an outsider myself, I get excited about the one-on-one skill of a Gridden, or a guy like, that one-on-one potential that you can see from a player. So I'm a little bit lower on Maxim Massé, but if your team just selected him, you've got a guy who's got his toolbox full. He's a tradesman, and it's just about how he's going to use them to get him to be the best player that he can be. But he comes in at 43 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings. That average rank of 39.7, it's awfully close to where the Senators pick at 39. For more draft profiles, go check us out, Locked On Senators.